On a warm autumn afternoon, Steph Curry strolled into McDonald's, but what he did not expect was to meet a room filled with first responders. What began as a casual stop quickly transformed into an extraordinary moment of kindness. The afternoon was different. It was the kind that made a burger and fries feel like the perfect comfort food. Inside a busy McDonald's on the outskirts of a bustling downtown, the lunchtime rush was in full swing. The air smelled of fries and fresh coffee, with the rhythmic beeping of fryers blending into the sounds of chatter and laughter of people. But something about this particular McDonald's was different that day. The large corner table was occupied by a group of first responders, firefighters in their heavy jackets, paramedics with their bright uniforms, and police officers in neatly pressed shirts. Their voices carried snippets of stories, some about rescues and emergencies, others just light-hearted jokes about the day's events. The scene was lively but calm, the kind of moment these everyday heroes rarely got. It was indeed a brief pause in their unpredictable routines. Their presence gave the restaurant a certain gravity, like a quiet acknowledgement of the work they did to keep the city safe. As the automatic doors whooshed open, a tall figure in a gray hoodie and basketball sneakers walked in. At first glance, most people didn't notice him. He kept his head down, trying to blend in, but the sharp eyes of a young boy in the corner sparked recognition. "It's Steph Curry," the boy whispered loudly to his mom, his voice tinged with awe. The name rippled through the room like a wave. Heads turned, whispers spread, and a few phones discreetly began snapping pictures. It wasn't every day that a global sports icon casually strolled into a McDonald's, and certainly not one packed with first responders. Steph, ever the cool and humble figure, smiled warmly and gave a small wave as he approached the counter. He looked comfortable, as though walking into a fast food chain during lunch hour was the most natural thing in the world. Everyone seemed to have one unspoken question in their eyes. Why is Steph here? The woman behind the counter, slightly starstruck but maintained her composure as she greeted him and asked what he wanted to get, with her voice carrying a mix of professionalism and excitement. Steph grinned. "I've been craving a Big Mac all week," he said. "Let me get that. A large fries and a sweet tea." As he waited for his order, Steph's eyes scanned the room. He noticed the large table of first responders, their badges catching the light as they laughed and ate. He saw their weariness masked by their team spirit and respect for one another. One firefighter, a hefty man with a thick mustache, caught Steph's gaze and gave him a respectful nod. Steph returned the gesture, feeling a sense of admiration for the group. Steph's thoughts drifted as he leaned against the counter. He had always respected first responders. Their jobs required bravery and selflessness, qualities he strived to emulate both on the court and in his daily life. Memories of his early years in Charlotte, North Carolina, came flooding back, specifically of the firefighters who visited his high school to teach safety drills. He recalled how they stayed long after the bell rang, patiently answering questions from curious students. Their dedication had left a lasting impression on him, even as a teenager with dreams of basketball glory. Now, standing in this McDonald's, watching this group together in a rare moment of rest and camaraderie, he couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to do something to show his gratitude. He felt compelled to do something. But what? The cashier called out Steph's number, pulling him from his thoughts. He picked up his tray and hesitated, his gaze drifting back to the table of first responders. They were engrossed in conversation, laughing and sharing stories, completely unaware of his presence. As he watched them, an idea started to take shape. It is not every day he walks into a room filled with first responders. He knew he had to make it count. With a growing sense of purpose, he placed his tray down and walked back to the counter. This wasn't just about grabbing a quick meal anymore. It was about creating a moment that truly mattered. Showing appreciation in a way that felt heartfelt and genuine now took priority. He politely asked the cashier if he could speak to the manager, who appeared moments later with a curious expression, clearly wondering what the superstar had in mind. Steph leaned in, speaking softly as he shared his plan. The manager's face lit up with understanding and excitement as she listened, nodding enthusiastically. Without hesitation, she hurried off to make the necessary arrangements, eager to help him bring the thoughtful gesture to life. Steph glanced over his shoulder again at the first responders, still oblivious to the surprise he was orchestrating. The thought of their reaction brought a quiet satisfaction, a moment that felt bigger than basketball or fame. For him, This was more than just a random act of kindness. It was an opportunity to recognize the dedication, resilience, and sacrifices of those who protect and serve every day. In this small gesture, he found a way to connect, to say thank you without words, and to also remind them their efforts truly mattered. The manager, a young woman in her early 30s, approached with a mix of excitement and curiosity. "Mr. Curry, is there something I can help you with?" she asked, trying to remain professional while suppressing her obvious fangirl energy. Steph leaned in slightly, lowering his voice to keep their conversation private. "I noticed the table of first responders," he said, gesturing subtly toward the group in the corner. "I'd like to cover their meals. Quietly, though I don't want to make a big deal out of it." The manager's face lit up with excitement as she confirmed that she would take care of the meals. She promised to void the receipts and ensure the first responders knew their meals were handled. Steph, after a brief pause, suggested taking it a step further. He asked if they could arrange for some gift cards as well, something the first responders could use later when they were on the move. Impressed by the idea, the manager nodded and quickly went off to make the arrangements. While she was gone, Steph turned his attention to the young boy who had recognized him earlier. The boy's wide eyes and shy smile conveyed his excitement without needing words. Steph crouched slightly to meet him at eye level and asked if he liked basketball. The boy nodded eagerly, proudly sharing that he played point guard, just like Steph. Encouraging him with a warm laugh, Steph told him to keep practicing and reminded him that basketball wasn't just about scoring points, but about making the team better. The boy's face lit up even brighter as Steph signed a napkin for him. It was a moment the young fan would hold on to forever. This was a small but meaningful interaction with his hero. With the gift cards and receipts in hand, Steph made his way toward the table where the first responders sat. The room grew quieter as he approached, a subtle wave of anticipation filling the air. The group of firefighters, police officers, and EMTs looked up almost in unison, their expressions shifting from curiosity to recognition as they realized who stood before them. Steph's presence carried a warm and genuine energy as he acknowledged their efforts. He thanked them for the tireless work they did, work that often went unnoticed but was vital to the community. His words carried weight, resonating with the group, who exchanged glances, clearly moved by the unexpected gesture. To express his gratitude, Steph shared that their lunch was taken care of. As a further token of appreciation, he handed out gift cards, explaining that these were for the next time they found themselves on a long call or in need of a quick meal on the go. The room shifted from quiet awe to a burst of applause, a blend of gratitude and disbelief spreading among the first responders. One of the officers, a woman whose kind but weary expression spoke of long hours and dedication, rose to shake his hand. Her voice carried the weight of sincerity as she expressed her appreciation. While recognition wasn't what motivated their work, moments like this reminded them why they chose to serve. Steph accepted her handshake with a look of genuine respect, his admiration evident. In his own way, he conveyed that their work held a far deeper value than any applause or gesture could capture. His parting remark brought a light laugh from the group, but it also left an impression. They were the real heroes in his eyes. As Steph lingered at the table, the first responders began opening up and sharing glimpses of their daily lives. A firefighter recounted a particularly difficult rescue, his tone carrying both pride in the outcome and humility in acknowledging the challenges faced along the way. An EMT spoke about the emotional strain of their work, balancing moments of heartbreak with the immense satisfaction of saving lives. One officer shared how their team's camaraderie was a lifeline, even during the toughest situations. He likened their dynamic to being on a basketball team, emphasizing the importance of trust and unity when under pressure. Steph listened intently, drawing connections between their lives and his own experience. The parallel of teamwork resonated deeply with him, reinforcing the shared need for collaboration and mutual support in both their worlds. A younger firefighter hesitated before speaking, his words carrying a sense of awe and admiration. He shared how growing up watching Steph play had been a source of inspiration, not just for his skill on the court, but for the way he conducted himself off of it. This example had motivated him to excel in his own role, even though it lacked the glamour of professional sports. Steph's demeanor softened as he reflected on their words. He acknowledged the gravity of their work, recognizing that their contributions went far beyond anything achieved in a game. To him, their service was the true embodiment of what it meant to assist, to save lives, protect communities, and be there when it mattered most. The room grew still for a moment, as Steph's words and the sincerity behind them settled over the group. It was a rare moment of connection, where admiration flowed both ways, highlighting the shared values of dedication and selflessness. Before leaving the table, Steph had one more idea. "How about a quick group photo?" he suggested. The first responders eagerly agreed, crowding around him for the shot. Patrons in the restaurant watched with smiles as the moment was captured, the photo destined to be a cherished memory for everyone involved. As Steph prepared to leave, he looked back at the table and said, "Thank you again for everything you do. Stay safe out there." The group responded with a round of applause, their spirits visibly lifted by the unexpected encounter. As Steph Curry walked out of the McDonald's, the atmosphere inside buzzed with excitement. Customers who had witnessed the moment began typing furiously on their phones. Within minutes, photos and videos of the interaction began circulating on social media. The first responders soon returned to their firehouse, police station, and paramedic office. The first responders who had been at McDonald's found themselves at the center of attention. Their colleagues, having caught wind of the encounter through viral posts and trending stories, eagerly pressed them for details. Questions flew from every direction, a mix of excitement and disbelief filling the air. Their co-workers wanted to know everything. How did it feel to have such a famous figure show up unexpectedly? Did they recognize him the moment he walked in? What exactly had he said, and how had it felt to share such a surreal moment? One firefighter, still holding the gift card that Steph had handed out, recounted the experience with a laugh. He admitted that at first, it all felt unreal. Seeing someone so widely admired walk up and express gratitude had been like a dream, a moment that made the hard days feel a little lighter. For the female officer who had discussed teamwork with Steph, the memory went deeper than the excitement of meeting a celebrity. What stayed with her was how genuine he had been. The sincerity in his words was so clear in a way that couldn't be manufactured. She explained to her colleagues that it wasn't about the cameras or the public attention, it was about his understanding and respect for what they did. Steph Curry's visit to McDonald's didn't remain a quiet moment for long. As social media posts gained traction, news outlets quickly picked up on the story. By the next morning, headlines about his gesture were everywhere. News stations interviewed the first responders, who recounted their unexpected brush with the basketball legend. They spoke not about the free meals or the gift cards, but about the genuine gratitude Steph had shown them. Television segments debated the significance of the moment, praising Steph for using his platform to uplift everyday heroes. Talk shows and sports commentators discussed the ripple effect of his actions, with some even speculating on whether more athletes would follow his example. Fans flooded social media with admiration for Steph's humility and thoughtfulness. Parents shared how they were using the story to teach their children about kindness and generosity. Unlike many celebrities who might have capitalized on the moment, Steph remained quiet on social media. He didn't post about the visit or engage with the trending hashtags. For him, the gesture had been personal, not performative. This silence only added to the authenticity of the story, further endearing him to the public. Fans appreciated that he wasn't trying to use the moment for his own gain, which made it all the more impactful. During a post-game press conference later that week, the topic of the McDonald's encounter inevitably came up. Reporters were eager to hear Steph Curry's perspective on the moment that had gone viral. Ever modest, Steph downplayed his role, brushing it off as nothing extraordinary. To him, the spotlight belonged elsewhere. He shifted the focus entirely to the first responders, emphasizing their daily sacrifices and dedication. In his eyes, they were the true heroes, the ones making an impact through their tireless work of saving lives and keeping communities safe. Steph expressed gratitude for the opportunity to cross paths with them, framing it as a chance to give back, not as a grand gesture. Despite the reporter's efforts to extract more details, Steph remained firm in redirecting attention. For him, the encounter wasn't about generating headlines, but about recognizing those who often go unnoticed. His humility resonated, turning what could have been just another celebrity moment into a testament to the power of genuine appreciation. The story sparked a deeper dialogue about the importance of appreciating first responders. News outlets used the opportunity to highlight the challenges faced by those in the line of duty: long hours, emotional strain, and often little acknowledgement. Nonprofits advocating for first responder wellness reported a surge in donations, with some attributing the increased support to Steph's unexpected act of kindness. As beautiful and heartwarming as this story is, what some people had to say will leave you shocked. Just as with any viral moment, not all the feedback was positive. Some skeptics questioned whether the gesture was a publicity stunt, given the rapid spread of the story. Others debated the focus on a celebrity's actions rather than the systemic challenges faced by first responders. However, those who had been at McDonald's that day, including the first responders themselves, quickly defended Steph. They emphasized his genuine demeanor and the fact that he hadn't sought attention for his actions. The story of Steph's unexpected gesture lingered far longer than anyone anticipated. The gift cards Steph had handed out quietly took on a life of their own, becoming symbols of gratitude and connection among the first responders. For one EMT, the card found its purpose during an especially grueling night shift. After handling a difficult emergency call, she felt the weight of exhaustion pressing down on her. At 3 a.m., while driving back to the station, she remembered the gift card tucked away in her bag. On a whim, she stopped by a nearby McDonald's for a coffee, hoping for a brief moment of solace. What she received was far more than just a hot drink. It was a reminder of the recognition and support that had come from an unexpected place. The gesture carried a deeper meaning for her. It wasn't the coffee itself that brought comfort, but the thoughtfulness behind it. The simple act of appreciation from someone like Steph Curry had left an impression, reminding her why she continued to do such demanding and often thankless work. That small token of gratitude had become a quiet source of motivation, helping her push through the long hours of her shift with renewed purpose. What is even more interesting, Steph came back there. Months later, Steph returned to the same McDonald's, this time with his wife, Aisha, and their children in tow. The visit was unannounced and low-key, reflecting his usual approach to moments like these. As they walked in, the familiar manager recognized him immediately and greeted him warmly. The manager took a moment to share how much his previous visit had impacted her staff. She described how the gesture had not only boosted morale among her team, but also left a lasting impression on everyone present that day. Steph listened attentively, nodding as she expressed her gratitude for the example he had set through his thoughtful actions. For Steph, it wasn't about receiving praise. He explained that the visit had been a simple way to recognize the people who dedicate their lives to protecting and serving others. It was a moment to show gratitude to those who often go unnoticed for their hard work. As he and his family left the restaurant, a young boy in a Steph Curry jersey caught his attention. The boy stood frozen, staring up in awe, clearly recognizing his hero. Steph smiled warmly and bent down to meet the boy at eye level. Their brief interaction ended with a kind, encouraging word that seemed to light up the boy's face. Walking out, Steph reflected on how moments of kindness, no matter how small, have the power to inspire. For him, these quiet, meaningful encounters were just as significant as the loud cheers of a packed arena. What do you think about Steph Curry? And about this simple encounter at McDonald's? We would love to know in the comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.